Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Selenium Tech Automation. In this video, I am going to discuss about the interview question called as explain about your automation framework. Okay, this is the most important interview question for each and every automation test engineer if they are attending for experienced candidate interviews. Okay, without this question there is no interview for any one of you. Okay, so please try to understand the concept, and also I am going to show you the framework folder structure as well. Okay, which framework I am using, and also what are all the different folders I am using here, I will show you with all the details. So before that, first we need to understand what exactly the framework here. Okay, so a framework to be considered as a set of combination of rules, set of rules and set of guidelines and set of standards that can be followed by the whole team to influence the benefits of the framework. Okay, so each and every member in that particular team, in that particular automation testing team, have to follow all the set of rules and set of standards and set of guidelines and set of protocols. If we can follow all these set of things means, so then we can definitely achieve one thing that is called as framework. Okay, if we are not following all these set of rules or guidelines or standards or protocols means, then we are not going to be considered as a framework. Okay, if we are following everything means, then we are calling that as a framework. Okay, actually why we need this framework? Okay, why we are really need about this framework? Okay, so here if we are acquiring some framework means, if we are expecting some framework means, if we are following some framework means, to maintain the standard way of developing the test scripts which will result to a best framework. Okay, if we are acquiring some framework means, so with that framework we can achieve a best framework. Okay, during our developmenting part, sorry, okay, during our development of our test scripts, we have to follow some standard ways of writing the code, right? Okay, so we need to follow some standards to write a best code. Okay, without having any hard coded values, and also we can reduce the multiple lines also. If you are writing some logic means, that should not be more than, there are some standards which needs to be followed. Okay, so in that cases we must and should follow this framework. And also there are different types of frameworks which are available for each and every automation test engineer. So under that, the first framework here is hybrid framework, which is the combination of two frameworks. Okay, so here when I say like hybrid framework means, you can think either it will be data driven or keyword driven, or data driven and page object model, and page object model and with some test ng. So likewise we can consider it as a hybrid framework only. Okay, here combination of two frameworks we can call it as a hybrid framework. At the same time we have data driven framework, at the same time we have keyword driven framework, at the same time we have test ng framework, at the same time we have modular driven framework, at the same time we have page object model. Okay, these are all the different kinds of frameworks where each and every project is following nowadays, but most of the projects are using Cucumber as well as page object model. And there are some more project, there are some projects which are already used with hybrid framework, that is a combination of keyword driven plus data driven. Okay, these are the two different frameworks which are already existing before this page object model and Cucumber framework got introduced. And also we have Cucumber framework also there. Okay, and also we have TestNG framework also there. These are all the different frameworks which are available in the automation framework. Okay, so now first we will see how this automation framework structure will looks like. So for that, let me open my Eclipse so that I will show you each and everything. Okay, from that particular Eclipse. Okay, so now let me go to my project folder structure here. Okay, let me go to my project folder structure here. Okay, so now window view is not there, right? Okay, anyway, no problem. Yeah, are you able to see my screen, right? Okay, so here you can see this is a Maven project. First of all, okay, this is a Maven project, so where I have mentioned keyword driven. Okay, it is my project name. Okay, it is my project name. So where I am going to design all my scripts means, based upon my keys I am going to execute my scripts. and also I am going to call all my methods present inside this framework. Okay, so first we will discuss the folder structure of this particular framework. Okay, so the first step here is, okay, if I want to launch my browser, okay, if I want to launch my browser or my URL, my application URL, so what we need, so first we need one browser and also we need one URL. At the same time, if you have any DB related URLs and also you have DB related queries and also you have your application query, application credentials, so those and all we can store inside one file that is called as properties file. Okay, first step here is we need to create a properties file. So for that, what I did, first I created a Maven project. Inside this Maven project I have created one folder that is called as properties file. So where I am going to mention all my related, I mean which are required to my project, so those information I will keep inside my properties file. Okay, with an extension of dot property. Okay, what is the extension for properties file? Here the extension for properties file is dot properties. So where this properties file I am going to use to store all my credentials and also to store all my application URL and also to store all my browser related information and also I am going to store all my DB related URL and credentials as well. Okay, that's the purpose of this particular properties file we are using it for, and also we can use this properties file for to storing the XPaths and IDs or names or CSS, all the locators we can store in this properties file. Okay, so how this properties file will work means, so this properties file will call these values with the help of key and value pair format only. If I want to launch any browser, so what I will do, I will just provide browser in one of my scripts. Okay, so based upon the value I have provided, so accordingly I am going to fetching the browser from this particular properties file. Okay, that's the reason why the first folder here is properties file. Inside that we have created one properties class here. So now we created this information here. Okay, anyway we have created all our application related information here. Then what is our next step? Okay, then what is our next step? So here the next step here is we are going to create one package calling that, I mean saying that com.prop.utilities. Okay, here I am going to create a package, so where I am going to call all these particular properties information. Okay, I want to retrieve this browser value as edge, I want to retrieve this URL value as this URL. Okay, so to achieve that one, we are going to create some piece of code. Okay, we need to create some piece of code where that code will call this key and values from this particular properties file. Okay, from this particular properties file. For that we are going to create one class here. Okay, first we are creating one package here saying that prop.utilities package. Inside that I am going to create one class called as property file utils class. Okay, so this, what does this class will do? This class will read the data present inside this properties file. Okay, this class will read the data present inside this properties file. Okay, that's the reason why we are creating this properties file utils class here. Okay, you can see here this code is related to access the value or access the information from properties file, that is called as environment.properties. Okay, so that is my second step. Okay, now we will see what is our next step, that is our third step. So here you can see there is some common actions. So what are these common actions? Okay, what are all these common actions? Okay, here common actions in the sense, if I want to enter some information in a text field, so how we can enter with the help of Selenium? We are having one method that is called as send keys. If I want to click on any button, what is the method we have inside our Selenium? Dot click. If I want to select a drop down, if I want to select an option from that particular drop down, means we have one class that is called as select class. If I want to handle some alerts, where we are going to mention the methods called as accept and dismiss. Okay, so these are all the some common actions. Okay, these are all the some common actions. So where we are going to create reusable methods in a generic way. Okay, here we are not using any Selenium methods which are provided by defaultly. We need to build methods, we need to develop a method where it will do send keys operation. We have to develop a method where it will do some click operation. We have to develop a code or method where it is going to handle some drop down list. We have to develop a code where it is handling the multiple windows. We have to create a code where it is going to handling the alerts. Okay, so likewise those and all are common actions, means we can create only once, we can reuse a number of times throughout our automation point of view. So that's the reason why I have created one package here. So in this package I am going to create all my reusable methods or common actions methods. Okay, so those method will present inside this common actions class. Okay, that is the purpose of this common action package. Okay, so then what is our next folder here? Okay, then what is our next folder here? So once that is done, okay, once that is done, so there is one more folder that is called as excel file folder. Okay, that is called as excel file folder. Okay, so as of now we done with common actions class and what is the use of common actions package. So now I want to provide some input to my application, saying that I want to enter my login username and password, where I am going to store, where I stored this information in Excel files. Okay, inside my Excel files I am storing all my test data, so where I am going to enter this test data into my application. So for that reason I created one folder here that is called as Excel file. Excel file is a folder name where it will containing the Excel documents, so where those Excel workbooks having the input test data. Okay, if you can open this one, excel input test data dot xlsx. Okay, this input test data will contain all the test data information where we are going to provide to our application. So that is the purpose of this Excel file. So once this step is done, so what I am going to do now, I want to call this entire information to pass into our application, right? So I stored my input data inside this XLSX. So now I am going to enter the information what I stored inside this input test data to my application, saying that there is first name, last name, middle name and sex and age and year, date of birth, everything. Okay, so such kind of information I will store inside this input test data dot xlsx file. So I stored now successfully. So now what is our next step? I want to enter, right? How we can enter? By creating a package that is called as excel file utils package. Okay, excel file utils will contain all the coding which is related to handle the excel operations. Okay, so that's the reason why I have created one package here that is called as excel file utils. Then what is our next step? That is excel file utils. Okay, it is also a class, so where I am going to write a code for this one to handle excel operations, whether I want to read or I want to write. So those kind of code I am going to mention in this particular excel file utils class. Okay, that is the purpose of this excel file utils package, and that is the purpose of this excel file utils class. So where we are going to write all the code which are related to the handling the excel file operations. Okay, so once that is done, so what is our next step? Okay, once that step is done, what is our next step? That is our, okay, that is our one class is there. So where we are going to use that particular class to run all our script, which means the main tests. Okay, which means the main test. This is our actual test. So with the help of this actual test I am going to run my test cases. Okay, I am going to mention all my test cases here. That is called as actual tests folder I mentioned here. Okay, that is com dot actual tests. In your case, if you want, you can mention any kind of thing. Okay, because in this test package I am containing all my test cases where I am going to automate. Okay, so those and all test cases we will store inside this actual tests package by creating one class called as actual test. Likewise we can increase all our test case count also, but those all the test cases will present only inside this actual test. Okay, this actual test means this will tell you the scenarios, this will tell you the execution, this will tell you the scenario how it is going to execute. Okay, so this will tell you the way which I scripted, in that way my application is going to execute. Okay, so that is the purpose of this actual test folder where we can write all our test cases. Okay, so once that is done, then what is our next step? If I am executing all my test cases from this actual test package means, so maybe there are 100 tests are available or 100 test cases are available inside this actual test package. So out of 100 there are 60 tests got passed and 40 tests got failed. So how do we know how many tests are passed and how many tests are failed? So for that we need to generate some reports in terms of either it will be accident report, or in terms of it will be test engine report, or in terms of it will be HTML report, or in terms of it will be LU reports. Any kind of report it will be, but we want the output report, right? So where we will store that one? For that I created one folder here that is called as reporting, sorry, that is called as test output folder. Okay, inside this test output folder, after each and every test case execution, I am going to store all my test results in this particular test output folder. Okay, that is the purpose of maintaining this test output folder here. Okay, so then once that is done, we have one more folder that is called as reporting folder. Okay, that is called as reporting folder. So here what does this reporting folder will contain? The same. Okay, sorry, you can keep all your execution reports inside this test output folder only, or else you can create a folder with the name of reporting folder. Sorry, here these two will be the same only, test output and reporting folder, because these two will contain all the test result execution report. Okay, so this is how we are going to explain. Okay, so let me tell you one more time. First we are creating one properties file here, so where it is containing all my application related configuration details. So for that I am creating first one folder here. So once created this folder, I have created one file that is called as properties file. So once if I mention the information inside this properties file, I want to read the data. So how we can read? By creating one class here that is called as property file utils.java class. So where it is going to read the data from properties file. Once this is done, what is our next step? So the next step is our creating the reusability methods. So where I am creating here, it is under common actions package. Here common actions means that is click operation, send keys operation, selecting a drop down, handling the alerts, handling the multiple windows. Okay, these and all we are frequently performing when you are working with your application. So that's the reason why we have to create some reusable methods by creating a class here that is called as common actions. The package name here is com.rhnhrm.common actions. So once this step is done, what is our next step? I want to provide input to my application. So for that reason only I have created one folder here that is called as Excel file. This Excel file will contains all my input test data information. Okay, so now we stored all our test data information into this .xlsx workbook. So now I want to read the data because I want to enter right into my application. So for that only we have created one package here that is called as com.excel file utils class, package. Inside that I have created one class called as excel file utils class. So where it is containing the code to read the data from Excel and updating to our application. Okay, once this is done, so then we are going to write our actual tests by creating one package here com.actual test. So once if your execution got completed, you want to know how many tests got passed and how many tests got failed, right? So for that reason only we are creating one folder here that is called as reporting, or you can create it like test output folder for better. So inside this test output folder, once my execution got completed, automatically I am going to generate one report and storing into this test output folder. So here report means either it will be extent report or LU report or test engine report or HTML report. Okay, any kind of report it will be based upon the requirements we are going to use. Okay, that kind of information which will comes and store into this particular test output folder. Okay, so that's all it for now guys. And also for execution purpose we are using pom.xml file if we are working with maven means. Okay, if we are not working with maven means, so then we can use directly this testng.xml file. Okay, but nowadays every project will be in real time as maven project only. Okay, so that's all it for now guys. I hope you people got some information from my end for this particular question. Explain about your test automation framework. You can explain in this way, so that uh, it will helps you a lot if you explain in this way. Okay, so I hope this video will helps you at least 1 to 5% up to my knowledge. Okay, if you found it helpful, please drop a like and also please subscribe to my channel for more videos. Okay, until then, take care everyone. Have a nice day. Signing off, Selenium Tech Automation. Thank you so much, guys.